All right, more proposals coming next month when the NFL has a virtual annual meeting. Second straight year, they won't be doing it in person because of the pandemic. One of the proposals, and this comes from the Buffalo Bills, something that I know coaches with other teams believe in, delaying any hiring until after the Super Bowl, barring interviews until after the conference championship games. And I've seen Judy Batista of NFL Media a couple of times now quote an owner who says that would be unenforceable. There's a difference between unenforceable and unwilling to enforce. I think this is a rule that the NFL would be unwilling to enforce because they know that plenty of people would break it.
Sure.
And the NFL, in my view, generally is averse to letting the world know we got a bunch of cheaters in here. So no rule is unenforceable if you're committed to enforcing it. They're not committed to enforcing it. That's what makes it unenforceable.
No, you're right. And listen, it's a hard one to enforce. I mean, it just, as we know, it really is. Oh, hey, we were talking about this player and, this coach that's on your staff with the owner. And now it comes up to possible hires that could happen down the road. I just think it would be really hard. But
if you still can't hire the guy until after the Super Bowl, if you are prohibited from signing the contract until after the Super Bowl,
yes,
right, you can say whatever you want. That's right.
It'll
because
still
you
help.
know what? The morning after the Super Bowl, there's a chance that Cal McNair says, "Why are we hiring David Culley? We haven't interviewed Byron Leftwich. Did you see what the Buccaneers did yesterday offensively?
Exactly
Did you see what they did defensively?
Right.
Well, let's bring in Todd Bowles. So even if you think you know what you're going to do, you still have a chance because the contract hasn't been signed to say we're going in a different direction because we're smitten by this candidate based upon what we saw in the biggest stage in football.
Right. Minds can be swayed, right, to see, divisional weekend, championship weekend, Super Bowl. Like, whoa. I've never really watched this team and got a chance to sit down and watch them all year in a single game or whatever. And, wow, it was 3 or 4 games in a row where you're right. Like, I know this guy was on the radar, but maybe we need to do a little more due diligence and dive into this guy and do that. I do think I think there's merit. I would like to see it done. I would. It is unfair, regardless. It is unfair. The interviews themselves might not be as impressive from some of those guys, too, who are coaching a team. Like we talked about this year with Eric Bieniemy. I think Eric Bieniemy he's a football coach. He wasn't going to, sell the Chiefs' offense and the team down the river just to go oh, screw it. I'm going to have the most impressive interview ever. I'm not even going to think about the game this week or my game plan and do that stuff. That's not in the DNA of a lot of these coaches. It's not. And it makes it kind of almost unfair to those organizations that they have to deal with that anyways. So I'd be all for it, and I think that's something that should happen.
As someone explained it to me this year during the hiring cycle, when the offensive coordinator who is getting ready for a playoff game and just spent the day getting the game, or presumably spent the day getting the game plan ready, when that person goes home at night to spouse or significant other, the first question isn't, hey, how's the game planning going for this weekend?
Right.
The first question is, have you heard anything about
Are you going to get that job that gives us life-changing money?
When's the interview? When's the interview again? Are you ready for the interview? Tonight, you know what? If I was you, I'd prepare for the interview.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what you're doing with your offensive game plan. You got this far.
Very real.
I'd prepare for the interview instead. So if you can't have interviews, then you avoid that conflict of interest. It is an unavoidable and irreconcilable conflict of interest for the assistant coach who, on one hand, should be spending every waking moment getting his team ready for the next game, and on the other hand, thinking, I got to put my best foot forward in these interviews. Maybe that's why there's this thing that rattles around the NFL that Eric Bieniemy doesn't do well in his interviews. Maybe he won't prioritize himself over his team.
Right. I don't think he will. I don't. I mean, everything I hear or know about the guy, he's a real football coach. He's just not he's not going to do that. And I think there's a lot of them that are like that, where it's just like, as we talk about, there's a lot of, army, soldier aspect of football, right? And it's just, a man's game, and I'm here doing this job, and man, I've worked hard and I don't want to let these guys down in the locker room, and I don't want to let my fellow coaches down and doing all of that. And I think it's very hard to put your best foot forward in that scenario when you're wired the way a lot of these coaches are. So I want this changed. I would like it, and I think it's worth it because of what you said. If it can change 1 or 2 hirings a year, to me, that's worth it, and I'm all for it.
Yeah, I like it, and I don't like the fact that I don't want to I just don't like the fact that owners are using reporters who work for the league to throw water on this. That doesn't sit well with me, because I think it's the right thing to do, and I think that the NFL should be committed to enforcing its rules. And this idea of we can't bull crap. You can enforce it if you want to enforce it, and the commissioner tells all the teams this is how it's going to be. And anybody who steps out of line, go talk to the 2012 New Orleans Saints about what the consequences are going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.